It's preparing. Great, so we're live on YouTube right now. Lisa, I'll hand it over to you.
Hi, my name is Peter Bishop. I'm here to tell you about the future. Not what is going to happen. I don't know that, but rather how to think about the future so you can get ready for change and even help to shape it. But can we really teach how to learn about the future? You think about the future all the time, but is there a way to think about it? There is. There are many ways, in fact, some better than others. Along with my friends, I've created a series of videos to share what I know about thinking about the future, about how to get ready for change, and even how to influence it when we can. I can do that because I was a professor of future studies at the University of Houston. We offered the first degree in future studies, and we graduated hundreds of students, many of whom became professional futurists. But I'm not here to turn you into a professional futurist. I'm here to share what I believe everyone should know about the future. Just like you don't have to be a journalist to be a writer or a mathematician to use numbers, you can anticipate and influence the future without being a futurist. In fact, you do it already. You've just never thought about it that way. No one was able to learn about the future this way 50 years ago. People were thinking and writing and even making movies about the future at that time. But no one had to do it better than what they did naturally until this field came along. A lot of adults are learning how to think about the future today, and I'm teaching them too. But I believe that everyone should learn about the future when they are still in school. So we have made a set of videos that teach what we believe everyone should know about the future. After all, we are all on a journey into the future. Just like an explorer needs tools to tell where they are and what direction they are heading, we need thinking tools to help us navigate the future as safely and as successfully as possible. I was an explorer once at sea in a relatively small boat. I sailed with a friend out of Houston, Texas, and across the Gulf of Mexico to the Yucatan Peninsula in Mexico. The boat was small for that voyage, but it was heavy and as safe as a boat can be for the open ocean. In fact, this might even be the same boat, still pale blue and still in Texas. That trip was a long time ago, but I still have two tools I used to get to Mexico and back. This is our compass. You may have used a compass before. You hold it in your hand like this, and it tells the direction you are headed, so you can see if you are headed in the right direction or not. But you probably haven't used this, a sextant. Didn't use one before I took this trip. It measures how high above the horizon the sun, the moon, or a star is. Sailors use sextants to tell where they were before GPS. So with a boat, a map, a sextant, and a compass, I was able to navigate over 500 miles across the ocean to get back to Houston. I'm really proud that I made that trip and that I returned safely. We are all on a journey today, not over the ocean, but through time. Each day we are one more day into the future. Each year, one more year. A lot of our movement is directed by other people, and we are subject to unseen forces. But we are not just passengers either. No, we have to make decisions and take action to get where we are going safely and successfully. I had to use the currents and the winds, which I couldn't control. I had to steer around reefs and buoys and other ships, just like we steer around obstacles in life. In the same way, we use the changes going on in the world to help us move toward our destination. These two tools, the compass and the sextant, will be our images for navigating with and through change into the future. So let's get to it. I'm Peter Bishop with Teach the Future, where we are sharing how to navigate the future with young people around the world.
Hello and welcome everyone. We are going to get started here. Thank you all for being here. Good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. Welcome to World Futures Day. And now we have our presenters. I'm going to get ready to present Samuel and Alice. Yes.
Cool. Am I okay to take it away, Lisa?
Yes. So now we have Sam Wixon, dedicated to unlocking Mataruka for innovative solutions to the challenges that face Maori. As a social innovator at Tokona, Raki, Sam uses collaborative processes to design equitable systems. From his work on Te Korekoreka to Te Ao Tūroa, a 3D printed POA-inspired solution for kaimona storage, Sam has always been passionate about weaving Mataruka and modern innovations to create a brighter future for Aotearoa. We also have Alice Dimond. Alice is a social innovator designing solutions for a more equitable future for Maori. Alice works at Tokona Te Raki Maori Futures Makers as a project manager, leading projects to find solutions to complex social challenges, such as racism, inequity, mana tuhak, and te tiriti partnership. And I'm going to now definitely hand it over to Alice and Sam, so you both can correct this most lovely, beautiful language that I may have missed, but please take the stage.
Thank you, Lisa. Tēnā rawa atu koutou. E ngā waka huri noa I te ao, nai a te reo o mihi, e re kauana ki a koutou, he muka puna ahau o kaitahu kāti mamoi me waitaha no Aotearoa ahau ko Alice Dimond tōku ingoa. Wonderful effort, Lisa. I would have probably been kinder to you had I known you were going to read that out loud and not put so much te reo Māori into it. But hello, everyone. It's great to have you here. My name is Alice Dimond, and I hail from a tribe in the South Island of New Zealand called Ngaitahu. And I'm here representing an organisation called Tokona Te Raki, alongside my colleague, Sam Wixon. Good evening here from New Zealand. It's 5 p.m. on a Friday, and we're excited to wrap up the week with this webinar. If I can see some people are putting their saying who they are in the chat, we'd love to hear who you are, where you're from, where you're dialing in from today. In the chat, if you would like to introduce yourselves in there, and it's always lovely to see people's faces. So if you would like to, we'd love to see your faces. If you would like to have your camera on. So here in Ao Tūroa, we always have a process or a way that we like to start meetings or start processes of working with one another. So to start us off, we're gonna do that, and it's called a karakia. A karakia is a way is kind of known as an incantation, and it's a way to prepare to spend our time together, to do the prepare to do the work we're here to do today, and to really rid ourselves of any distractions. So Sam, I'll get you to go over to the next slide. So I'll do our karakia, and then I'll say it in English as well, and then we'll be ready to kick off today. So, whakatau mai te wairua, whakawātea mai te hinengaro, whakarite mai te tinana, kia e ai ngā mahi, si hei mauri ora. So settle the spirit, clear the mind, prepare the body to achieve what needs to be achieved. Behold the breath of life. So we're ready to talk about what we're here to talk about today, which is how to elevate Indigenous thought and process to create a more equitable future. So what we're going to do today is we're going to just start by introducing who we are as an organisation, who Tokona Te Raki is, and the type of future making that we do. And then we're going to share what our Indigenous futures process tool is that we've come up with. That we've developed to ensure that we're designing a future that is equitable and a future that hopefully will be better for our Indigenous people. And then what we're going to do is we're going to share a mural board, and we're going to use that to have a little bit of a play with the tool and use it kind of in its most simple format as a reflection tool. So who are we as Tokona Te Raki? So Tokona Te Raki, we're an organisation that sits under the guidance and authority of our tribal entity, Te Runanga Ngaitahu. And we use social innovation and futures blended to blend research data and the voices of our people to navigate and imagine better futures. And what we're looking to do is try to unweave broken systems that don't work for our people, and then reweave systems that hopefully ensure that everyone has the opportunity to thrive in their lives. And we do this all with the goal that's very aligned with the goal of Teach the Future, in that we like to try to empower our young people to enable that long-term transformation. So we are a team of young people. We work with young people a lot so that we're both equipping the next generation with the skills to be able to create next generation solutions. And I will pass it over to Sam, who's going to introduce himself now.
Tēnā koutou katoa, ko ai au he uri no kaitahu kāti māmoe waitaha me moriori, ko Sam Wixon tōku ingoa. Hello everyone, my name is Sam, and like Alice, I hail from a tribe from the South Island of New Zealand called Ngaitahu, but also hail from a tribe to the Chatham Islands, which is just out east of New Zealand, called Moriori, as well as another tribe from the Wellington and the top of the South Island called Ngāti Toa. So talking about Tokona Te Raki and what we do, it's good to look to a bit of our work and what we do on a day-to-day. So as an organisation, we work across a range of projects focused on creating better futures for our whānau, for the families that we're connected to as part of our tribe. And in doing that, we work across a range of areas, from working on government initiatives to projects within our tribal organisation, as well as finding areas of need through our research that we'll then delve into further. And so a few examples of projects that we currently work on is at the moment we're working on a project called Mōka Uri, which is about developing a 25-year vision for 2050 for our tribe. And in doing that, we're helping to decide what path we want to take for our people into the future and then work out how we can reach there. And you can learn more about that if you follow that link, mokauri.co.nz. We've also got a project currently working on identifying the levers for change for an anti-racist future. And so in doing so, looking at what are our systems and structures like, and how can we work with people and work with different communities in ways to what we talk about as unweaving broken systems and reweaving better, more equitable systems. And so as part of that, we've been developing a toolkit that we like to use to unweave racism and reweave better systems. And at the moment, we've got a focus in the health sector. We also do a lot of work focused on preparing our young people with the skills that they need to deal with the ever-changing future that we face. And so we work across throughout all of our projects. We try to make sure that we engage our indigenous young people in what we work on. But in particular, we have some streams of work we run where we go to our what we call marae, which is our sort of traditional villages and meeting places, where we bring together our young indigenous people and work with them to upskill their capabilities. And I'll pass back to Alice.
Cool. So before we start, we just wanted to say, so Māori future making, Tokona Te Raki, we're a Māori futures agency, but what is Māori future making or indigenous future making? So for us, it's about that drive towards a better and more equitable future for all indigenous people around the globe, but specifically Māori and Ao Tūroa. And indigenous futures work to us is the movement towards a future that is driven by ancestral wisdom and the knowledge of those who came before and building on that knowledge. So therefore, it means that in our futures work and our foresight work, we always acknowledge and build on the past. So the work of our ancestors, but we are not bound by that. So we can imagine a more desirable future. So when we started doing this Māori future making work at Tokona Te Raki, we decided that what we needed was a kawa or a process that could help us to do our future making work. So a kawa in our world is a set of processes, protocols, or practices to guide how we interact and collaborate with others. So I'm sure probably in your cultures, you have a lot of unspoken protocols that guide the way that you interact with each other and that you go about your day. So just like how you have that kawa, we needed a way, a tool, a process, a protocol to guide our future making work. And our experience is that while most people want to make the world a better place, that often we lack the confidence, resources, capabilities, skills to know how to do so, to know how to turn our aspirations for that change into action. So what we see is there's this real opportunity, especially to work with our own people, to empower and equip them with a new kind of approach to solve those really grand, complex social challenges, and do that in a way that's grounded in their own culture and histories and sense of place. So part of that vision that we had was to therefore create Te Korekoreka. And so Te Korekoreka is our kawa, therefore, for Māori future making. So there are some key things to know about Te Korekoreka. The first is that it aims, it's a tool that aims for creating a better future. And we think that the way to do that is to aim for radical transformation and not just small improvements. So the world that we want is radically different to the world that we're currently heading towards. So we wanted a tool that would help us kind of step outside of the everyday, step outside of the norm, and imagine a radically different future. So this tool asks us to therefore draw on the past and to just use that to determine the future that we want. And what we did is we went away and we had conversations with our people, we had conversations with our tribal leaders about what could be a process that could guide our future making work. And that's when we came up with Te Korekoreka. And what we're going to do now is we're going to play a short video that will explain how the tool of Te Korekoreka came to be, including introducing the historical manuscript of one of our ancestors that this kind of knowledge was drawn from. And in the video, they also pay attention to the fact that they also introduce the 4 realms that make up Te Korekoreka. So we'll go to that video now.
Te kaua o Te Korekoreka is based on a famous karakia by one of our kaitahu, Tipuna and Tohuka Mateaha Tiramorehu. In 1849, he recorded in this karakia, Kaya Te Pō, 4 realms. Te Ao Tūroa, the day, Te Kore, the nothingness, Te Pō, the darkness, and Te Ao Mārama, the new day. Te Korekoreka was crafted from our kaitahu creation story. It is a great process to help whānau, teams, organisations, anyone who's wanting to evolve a new way of doing things. The 4 realms of Te Korekoreka help you experience indigenous knowledge within a new frame of reference.
In developing Te Korekoreka, we started by studying this powerful karakia, by considering each of the realms independently, and then understanding how they interrelated to each other. We explored the space between each of these realms so we could better understand the transitions between them. And finally, we considered the realms as one complete cyclical system. And it's from this wānaka that Te Korekoreka emerged.
Te Korekoreka is a way for us to connect with our mātauraka of our tipuna and to reclaim the future-making mindsets of our tipuna. It seeks to give purpose to our current knowledge and to help us navigate into the future.
As well as being a powerful conceptual framework, Te Korekoreka is also a practical guide to help us in our future-making mahi. Each realm has its own kaupapa and tikanga to help guide us in maximising the potential from that realm. This helps us be more aware of what realm we might currently be in and helps us to anticipate what are the changes we might need to make to move forward. As we move through the kawa, we gain more insight and understanding.
To think intergenerationally requires us to think beyond ourselves, beyond the people that we know, beyond our time. It requires us to think into the future and to consider the legacy that we bequeath to the future generations, to our tamariki, to our mokopuna. Because it is intergenerational, it also means that we need to think about the legacy we have inherited from our tipuna. That legacy encapsulates our tikanga, our whakaaro, our belief systems, our understanding of who we are as a people. That legacy has shaped who we are, and in turn, it is the legacy that we pass down to those future generations to help shape their understanding of who they are. It is our language, it is our culture, it is our identity, it is our place, it is our future.
Future making is not new to Māori. The words we use to describe this process may be new, but the concepts and wisdom are not. It takes courage to imagine a new future, to learn from your past, to understand your present, and to commit to a deliberate course of action to move you from your current reality to a better one. Thank you for taking this journey with us through Te Korekoreka. We hope it gives you more insight in terms of our kawa and our vision. Tēnā koutou katoa.
Cool. So as Hana and Eru spoke about in the video, Te Korekoreka is a way for us to reconnect with our indigenous knowledge systems and to really reclaim that future-making mindset of our ancestors. In the video, they introduced the concept of having 4 realms, and that those 4 realms present a story of creation that is cyclical rather than linear. And that represents the understanding of that our ancestors had of how time and creation worked. So when European ethnographers came to New Zealand, they filtered the understanding of our ancestors' time through their own cultural lens and assumed that, similar to European cosmology, that we had a very similar process of this kind of understanding of a genesis or a big bang. But actually, the concept of creation and time in a whakaaro Māori or a Māori way of thinking is that time is cyclical and it moves around through these different realms of te ao, te kore, te pō. So our traditional wisdom, therefore, saw that past, present, and future are actually intertwined and are a unified whole. And life is this kind of continuous cosmic cycle through different forms of chaos to order and from decay to new life. So we're constantly moving through this continuous cosmic movement of time and creation, and therefore it has no restrictions, and past is therefore central to and shapes both the present and the future. So therefore, Te Korekoreka, or the way that we do our future work, is that we don't just make progress by moving forward, but we build upon the knowledge and the strengths of everything that came before, and always know that the cycle of movement is going to continue to happen, and therefore that we will continue to go through a process of decay and new life. Practically, so it's really got like an ancestral or a spiritual grounding, but practically it also means that we can just apply the lessons from the past to the challenges that we're going to face or the opportunities the next generation will face. So I'm going to pass it to Sam now, who's going to talk a little bit more about the origins.
So as we've mentioned throughout this presentation so far, and you will have heard mentioned in the story, Te Korekoreka, this process has come from our creation story. And so as part of it, like many other cultures throughout the world who experienced forms of colonization, knowledge and the loss of knowledge was a really big issue through the process of colonization. And we were fortunate enough that one of our ancestors by the name of Matiaha Tere Morehu had a lot of foresight and future thinking about the preservation of knowledge for future generations. And so this process has been based off a recording of our creation stories that was created by Matiaha Tere Morehu in 1849. And he did so sending a letter to a Christian missionary detailing a creation story, and mentioned in this letter that he had fears that his people were losing knowledge of our history. And so what we're going to share next is a video of this karakia, of this incantation through which the knowledge of our creation story is held. And then I'll unpack it a bit further as we begin to consider what that creative process means in our work.
Kaia te pō, te tīmata taka mai o te waiata taka mai o te atua. Nā te pō ko te ao. Nā te ao ko te Ao Mārama. Nā te Ao Mārama ko te Ao Tūroa. Nā te Ao Tūroa ko te kore te whiwhia. Nā te kore te whiwhia ko te kore te rāwea. Nā te kore te rāwea ko te kore te tā maua. Nā te kore te tā maua ko te kore matua. Nā te kore matua ko te māku. Ka moe ia māhura nui a te a ka puta ko Raki. Ka moe ia pokoharu a te pō ka puta ko Auraki. Ko raka māmao, tāna ko tā whiri mātea. Ko te aita ko te takata ki te whaiao ki te Ao Mārama. Ki te Ao Tūroa e tūnei. Ti hei, mauri o rā.
So within this karakia, this incantation that holds some of the knowledge of our creation story, we can see the highlighting of that cyclical, the cycle of time and space that Alice was talking about. And as Alice mentioned, moving through these phases of Te Kore, Te Pō, and Te Ao, and cycling through them. And if you look at the words here of that karakia, you can see that cycle as it happens. So we start in Te Pō as the starting place for where the gods sung the world into being. And from there, we shift into these different phases of Te Ao. And from those phases of Te Ao, we shift into Te Kore, this sort of void, and move through different phases of this void. And it's from this that we begin to see life emerging, and we have this moment of conception and then separation, and this leads to the existence of our humanity and of the world. And so to go into a bit more detail, when we use Te Korekoreka as a process, we talk about 4 realms, and these realms we talk about are Te Ao Tūroa, which you can see here in the 4th line, Te Kore being these spaces here, this void, and then we talk about Te Pō, and back to Te Ao Mārama, referencing the beginning of the new cycle into the space of Te Ao again. So to go into a bit more detail, Te Ao Tūroa we talk about as being the current state. So a literal translation of the words Te Ao Tūroa could mean the long-standing world. So often this is about things that are existing, but may no longer sort of meet the needs of the current world. So you can think of this as a space of decay and aging, and this drives us to want to seek change and seek renewal. So Te Ao Tūroa is for us a space of creating knowledge of the things we're doing and reviewing what's currently going on. And it's from this space of decay that we end up in Te Kore. And Te Kore can be translated to sort of a void of nothingness. But within a void of nothingness, there is also limitless potential. So this is where we feed on the nutrients left behind from the past, and we focus on the origins of who we are, of what we want to achieve, and what speaks to our hearts and to our minds. And this is a space of seeking purpose and drive, and considering the goals and changes we want to achieve. So Te Kore, this void, is where we lay the foundations to envision a new and better future. And in our creation story, this is where the very first semblances of life and existence emerge from. So Te Kore we talk about as being our space, our realm of seeking, reflecting, and building understanding. And it's from this space of Te Kore that we cycle through to Te Pō. Te Pō can be translated to the darkness or the night. And this is where the new life begins to develop. So we talk about the Te Pō being a space for boundless dreaming and for innovative imagination. So this is where we explore the possibilities of the future. And we do this through processes of ideation, consolidation, and prototyping. But we ground this in the understandings we've gained from Te Kore from the past. And in our creation stories, this is where the new life for future generations was developed and where it began to emerge and flourish. And so Te Pō we talk about being our realm of imagining, designing, and making. And lastly, this takes us to Te Ao Mārama. So we're back into the space of Te Ao, but we're now into a future state. So Te Ao Mārama can be translated to a new world of light and life. So this is where we go from turning the ideas, the dreams from Te Pō into reality. So Te Ao Mārama is where we set plans, organize ourselves, implement new systems or programs. And for us, Te Ao Mārama is a realm about achieving and implementing and celebrating. And this is where we bring new innovations into the world.
Cool. So in a moment, we're going to head into the activity, but what we just wanted to say is why we think this is all important and why we believe elevating indigenous thought and process will ensure that we are designing a future that works for indigenous people. So as many of you probably are aware of, for many years, indigenous ways of knowing and thinking and doing have been excluded from the decision-making process and therefore from the future-making process. And from our experience working with people to create tools and resources that reflect their culture, and then using those processes to tackle grand, complex challenges, it can have a really profound impact. So not only does it therefore give us a better chance of creating solutions that are grounded in diverse and different perspectives, but it also boosts the confidence of the indigenous people that you're working with and their kind of sense of purpose that their culture and perspectives can make a real difference in creating that better future. So before we head into the activity, we'd just like to open it up in the chat. If you would like to put anything in the chat in terms of any thoughts that are maybe coming up for you, any offerings you have, or any feedback, we'd just like to hear from you. And we also just want to acknowledge that this knowledge, although it's come from this specific karakia or incantation from one of our ancestors, it's very similar to other cultural knowledge around New Zealand and other knowledge around the Pacific and then also around the globe. So if anyone has anything that they would like to put in the chat from their own cultural reference, we'd love to hear it. Cool. How can we begin incorporating this today, Lisa? We will start to incorporate it in a moment. We're all going to have a chance to have a play around, and then we can talk a little bit more about how maybe you could use it in your own future making work as well. So what we're going to do before we move into what we're going to do now is we're going to move into an activity, and what it requires is everyone to have access to something called a mural board. So if you haven't used a mural board, it's very similar to all other kind of interactive whiteboards. Sam's just put it in the chat now. So if you would like to open that up on your desktop, and then Sam's also going to make share his own screen so that you could also see it on the shared screen as well. If you don't want to necessarily interact yourself, if you're on your phone or if it's a little bit hard, then we also make sure we have the shared screen as well. And what we're going to do is we're going to all have a go at using the tool in its kind of most simple format, which is as a reflection tool. So for this exercise, we're just going to ask that you reflect on something in your lives. So it could be a project or something you're working on, a particular situation, an event that you might want to gain kind of new understanding or new perspectives about. And it can be anything. It can be something personal, professional, something in your family life. We just want you to think about kind of what that thing is, and then you're going to use that thing, hold it in your mind as we move through the different realms. As we move through the different realms, Sam is going to help kind of drive us. So he's going to potentially pull you towards him so he can kind of click a button and it'll make sure that your screen goes to the space that we want you to be in. So hopefully we've kind of got enough people on there now. I can see some things buzzing around. And what we're going to do is we're going to move through the 4 realms. So we have about maybe 15 minutes left. So we're going to do this reasonably quickly, but we just want to make sure that you have an opportunity to try it out for yourselves. So we've had our karakia from Mātiaha Te Morihu, and so we're in Te Ao Tūroa. And like we said, Te Ao Tūroa is the realm of knowing, doing, and reviewing. So it's our everyday state, it's our current state, and it's the realm that's really tangible. It's those things that we can see, touch, and measure. So in this realm, we really just want to surface the kind of current reality. So really surface the current situation. So all we want you to do is choose a post-it note and name some of the things that are happening in your situation. So maybe name some of the actions that are going on or are currently being planned, as well as any context that might be relevant. So it might be that you have a project that's funded by this organization and the project dates are from this date to this date, as well as anything that just feels like contextually important to your project. So it could be something like, this is the first time we'll be gathering in person since COVID. So just what is going on, what actions are being taken. So just start to name some things on a post-it note. If you'd like to, you feel free to just do it in your own time as well on a piece of paper if it's easier to use than mural. Oh, we'll give you about 30 more seconds. So just anything that you want to say about the current situation. So it could be naming specific events, places, people, dates. Okay, so hopefully you've managed to write something down either on a notepad or on the mural board. So now it's time to move to the next realm, which is the realm of Te Kore. So we think that transitioning between realms requires a mental shift. So it requires some attention. And the shift between Te Ao Tūroa can often be hard, to Te Kore, because, sorry, it often can happen because of something that has maybe happened to bring you out of that sort of unconscious state or state of just doing things how they usually are done into Te Kore, which is kind of moving into this mental state of reflection and thinking about how things are done. And you can also choose to intentionally make that shift. So rather than being kind of thrown into a space of reflection through something that happens to you, like kind of losing, maybe it could be something like losing your job or having a surprise situation happen that you weren't expecting, or maybe moving cities. It might be something that you intentionally decide to do because it just feels like things in the current state just aren't working for you, and therefore you need to move into that space of reflection. So we do that kind of intentional shift through karakia, so through incantations again. So I'll just say this and then we're going to move into te kore. So nā Te Ao Tūroa ko te kore, tokona Te Ao Tūroa kia tū, tokona Te Ao Tūroa kia ora, tukuna Te Ao Tūroa kia moe, tukuna Te Ao Tūroa kia tupu. Kia tukutuku anō ai Te Ao Tūroa, nau mai te kore, ka pau te kore, hui e tā iki e.
Well, we'll now be shifting into our realm of te kore. So, as we mentioned earlier, te kore is our void of nothingness, but also of limitless potential. And it's within te kore that we reflect, seek, and understand. And so, this is going to be the realm in which we develop a sense of deeper meaning or understanding of what we're doing. So this phase of te kore, as part of our reflection process, we're going to be reflecting on what things got you to here. So how do you feel about what's been done so far? Are there any red flags? Are there any opportunities? What's the space that you occupy? What does the surrounding context tell you? And what is it that you really want? So think about describing any feelings or emotions that might come from what you're working on, any desires or thoughts. And so we'll give you a couple minutes to fill out a post-it note here. We'll give you another 30 seconds and then we'll begin to move to the next piece. All right. Hopefully you were able to get down some ideas and reflect and build a bit of a deeper understanding about what you're working on or doing. Like we did in the last realm, we're going to transition again and do so using karakia. And so this realm of Te Kore is a realm of that understanding and seeking and reflecting. And so we're now going to be shifting through to Te Po. And this was a shift that can be difficult because as humans, we can be wired to be trying to make meaning and understand everything before we move into space of creativity and innovation. However, it is likely we'll notice sort of the glimpses of potential in Te Kore, and Te Po is the space where we can take that potential in Te Kore and start to nurture it into something new. So I'll now recite this karakia, this incantation, and we'll shift to our next realm. So nā te kore ko te pō, tokona te kore kia tū, tokona te kore kia ora, tukuna te kore kia moi, tukuna te kore kia tupu, kia tukutuku anō ai te kore, nau mai te pō, ka pou te pō, hui e, tā ki e.
Welcome to the realm of Te Po. So Te Po is the realm of imagining, dreaming, and making. Te Po literally means the nighttime. So it's the space to dream about the future. And so for this exercise, we want you to imagine success. So imagine success of the thing that you're thinking about. What is the best possible outcome you can imagine? How good could it be? What would this new situation look like, feel like, sound like? In theory, how could you possibly create this future? So you could try using if and then sentences. So if I was to do this, then I would reach this outcome. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to do that one. Okay, we'll have about 30 more seconds on that one. Okay, so we're going to move into the last realm now. So we're going to move from Te Po, our realm of dreaming, to Te Ao Mārama, which is the new day of new light. And this shift can be difficult because it takes taking kind of a leap of faith to send those dreams that you had maybe spewing out into reality, out into the new day. So we'll do our karakia and then we'll move into it. So nā te pō ko Te Ao Mārama, tokona te pō kia tū, tokona te pō kia ora, sukuna te pō kia moi, sukuna te pō kia tupu, kia tukutuku anō ai te pō, nau mai Te Ao Mārama, ka pou Te Ao Mārama, hui e, tā ki e.
So welcome to our realm of Te Ao Mārama. This is our realm of implementing, achieving, and celebrating. So as we mentioned, Te Ao Mārama is that world of new light and life. And in Te Ao Mārama, we can see things more clearly, and we can access that wisdom of the past and that understanding that we've formed through these other realms, and use this to help determine what is needed to create a new and better future. And so for this exercise, we want you to outline the steps needed to implement the vision that you dreamed up in our last realm in Te Po. So think about what are the practical actions that you need to take now to create success. What are you going to do next, and who needs to be involved? And if you're struggling to think of things, try thinking about what is the thing that needs to happen first, what needs to happen next, and what would have to happen last. And we'll give you a couple minutes again. Oh, you'll have about another 30 seconds to finish up any ideas. Awesome. Well, hopefully you are able to go through that reflection process and get some new thoughts or insights and view on what you were reflecting upon. So, as we've mentioned throughout this presentation, we've talked about the cyclical understanding of time. And so what we're going to be doing now is doing one last transition, shifting from Te Ao Mārama to Te Ao Tūroa. And what this symbolizes for us is that over time, the innovations that we create today are going to become the challenges for the next generation. And so Te Korekoreka as a process and as a tool reminds us of that constant cycling of ideas and potential to problems and opportunities. And so these ideas that we've got now and the solutions that might work now may no longer be fit for purpose in the future, and that cycle continues. And so to signify this, we'll finish with this last karakia to transition us from Te Ao Mārama to Te Ao Tūroa. So nā Te Ao Mārama ko Te Ao Tūroa, tokona Te Ao Mārama kia tū, tokona Te Ao Mārama kia ora, kia puta ai tātou ki te whaiao ki Te Ao Mārama, ki Te Ao Tūroa e tū nei ti hei mauri ora. I'll pass back to Alice.
Oh, thank you. Okay, so we've reached the end of our session. We hope you enjoyed that journey, and we just want to again just reiterate the reason that we think that these sorts of processes and using more indigenous processes can really help to shift the way that we think about things, move it to a new frame of reference, and make sure that the futures that we're designing aren't just recycling the same kind of mainstream or Western attitudes that don't necessarily work for all people. So really encourage you to kind of draw from your own cultural lens and consider the ways that you could could design similar tools to work within your own cultural context. And if you're interested, that QR code will take you to the Te Korekoreka website, so you can go through the process again. We kind of have a bit of an audio visual process website where you can watch all those videos and move through the different soundscapes and actually do the process yourself. So we encourage you to do that, and also our website, our Tokona Te Raki website is there as well. So we're maorifutures.co.nz. Otherwise, we'd love for you to connect with us. So we're on all the things, LinkedIn, and then also Tokona Te Raki on Instagram and LinkedIn. So thank you so much to Teach the Future. We're really grateful for this experience, and I think we're passing over to Lisa to wrap us up and then move on to the next ones who are running the next hour. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Alice and Sam. That was such a sweet presentation. That was such a sweet delivery, and we really got to learn more about what is happening in the Maori futures and how we can take a moment to pause and really integrate the vibration of the words and what the culture, what it brings. So thank you so much for sharing, and it was so lovely, and we would love to do a follow-up and see where this goes next. I'm just going to go ahead and put in the chat box just a few things for you here. If you want to receive